since September 2014 and the whole of last year, there's enormous amount of discussion, discourse on education. Never before. People who were at the back banner, who never spoke about education, never continued or took part in education discourse, have now decided to talk about education, discuss about education, write about education, letters to editor, write to us, write to PM, write to all our other members of cabinet. We like it, we want it, and this is the level of attention we wanted education to have because of the importance of education in transforming societies, transforming households, transforming communities, transforming countries. That is the importance, and throughout the world now, countries are realizing about the importance of education, and therefore, whole of government budget is shifting towards investing in education. Fiji, amongst the small island states, have taken a lead role in terms of investing in education. If you look at Fiji's education budget, it's the largest in terms of operating expenditure. No other ministry has got anything larger than education in terms of operating budget. And of course, Ministry of Education's operating budget is close to 97%. All is operating. But all the other ministries is operating in capital. And the only ministry which has got larger budget than Ministry of Education is FRA. And as you all know, FRA is infrastructure, capital budget. And it's a one-off thing. Once you finish with the road construction or the bridge, etc., then they won't have that level of allocation. But education will have, because it's an operating component and it's recurrent. So that determines government's importance to education. And this has happened in the Bainimarama era, in the Bainimarama government time. The level of importance that government is giving to education. Our education budget to the overall budget is about 15%, which is the benchmark, international benchmark by UN is 14%. That countries must spend at least 14% of the overall budget towards education. We are above the benchmark, we're meeting the benchmark. And if you look at all the other benchmarks that the UNESCO has set, we are meeting almost all the benchmarks. One of the few developing countries in the Pacific, Caribbean, and the small states African region, we are the only country which has met almost all the benchmarks with respect to compulsory education, with respect to free education, with respect to budgetary allocation to education. All of those benchmarks we have met and we are meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, it is this importance of education that has led us to undertake reforms. What I'm going to talk to you today is that we began reforms last year to raise the benchmark of academic excellence. The question then is, why? Was there a problem? Was there a problem with respect to where our education sector was? 15 months down the line, we now want to reflect on these reforms. You know, there were critics arguing that we should go and talk to people and consult about reforms. We did that. We did that via education forums. Mandatory required as per the Education Act, we are required to consult people, and we did that through education forum. But what we wanted was, we give at least an year's time to the reforms and then come back to the people and take or consult them with respect to what we have done, why we have done, what issues and challenges still lie ahead, what are the gaps that exist there with respect to the reforms that we undertook. And we get feedback from all stakeholders. Ideas are not confined of one or two or few, the politicians or the policy makers, but everyone has ideas. And we are open to these ideas, and we want to be interrogated. We like to be interrogated. It keeps us sharp on our heels. It keeps us alert. And I want to thank the public for doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, when an institution or a country engages in reform, it is there to fix a particular problem that may exist, to raise or further push the benchmark of the frontier, to improve efficiency of service delivery. In this case, we're talking about education. To deal with changes in the global market, we want to ensure that whatever product we churn out in this country, and in this case education, is second to none. And secondly, we want to ensure that the product is what the global labor market wants. We don't want to churn out a product which is no longer relevant. And if you note that the global labor market is changing, the global employment market is changing, the industries are changing. And therefore, we need to ensure that the education product that we are producing is also taking into account or is cognizant of those changes. We need to take into account the global best practices. So the question is, what are the outcomes that we're after? You know, at the national level, what the government is wanting is to build a knowledge-based society, an educated society, an ethical society. What is a knowledge-based society? What is an ethical society? What is a educated society? A society where individuals rise above issues or variables of ethnicity, religion, gender, class or caste system, and start making decisions based on logic and reasoning. If you look at the last 20 years and 30 years and the kind of issues or problems that this country has faced, is because of people's inability to rise above issues of ethnicity, rise above variables of religion or caste or class system. And it is fundamentally due to our inability to educate people. And if you look at examples throughout the world, you'll see how education has transformed societies and communities and have allowed people to make decisions based on logic and reasoning. There's an enormous amount of literature out there which says that education is the solution to a long-lasting, peace, stable and prosperous society. And that is why we are after an educated society, a knowledge-based society, and that is why our Prime Minister, Honorable Mahendra Reddy, often says that we need to build the knowledge base of the country. We need to build the base, the wisdom of the society. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the outcome. That is the outcome that we are after. The outcome that we are after is a knowledge-based society. But how can that outcome be delivered? Via a set of output. Graduates, educated people coming out of our institutions, institutions of learning, primary, secondary and university. Of course, we also have other institutions, formal and informal institutions, that educate people. Education is not only about churning out or giving out or dishing out qualifications. Often in the past, so many years, last 2 to 3 decades, people had a narrow definition of education. They're talking about giving qualifications and therefore kind of reneged on developing a holistic person. A citizen out there will become a very valuable part of the society. So we're talking about educating our children, not simply qualifying or skilling our children. We're talking about educating our children will become better citizens of this country. And therefore, we define future Fiji. We define future Fiji, the kind of Fiji we want to have. Ladies and gentlemen, what we did was in September the other year, we kind of examined what is the situation with respect to education in the country. We know that the quality of education, the quality of graduates was declining. You know, you'll talk to people in the industry. They will say some of the deficiencies in the graduate. Yesterday I was talking to P.O. Tikoisuva. He said that, Dr. Reddy, I did senior Cambridge. And he was boasting about it in saying how people who went through senior Cambridge, and some of you I'm sure would have gone through senior Cambridge, how good the education system was at that particular time. And I said to him, I did university entrance. But our own education qualification can also be like senior Cambridge, can also be like university entrance. Why are people commenting, saying that our system is second to a qualification offered by the previous education system that we had? What's wrong with us? Are we not capable of delivering that? But when you look at the product, when you talk to the industry, they'll talk about the deficiencies that our graduates have. Inability to speak in English, inability to write a letter correctly without any single grammatical error, ability to speak publicly, confidently, articulately. These are some of the deficiencies you'll find in the graduates that we produce out of our primary, secondary, and universities. Universities too. And we question ourselves, where have we gone wrong? 8 years in primary school, we keep them in our custody. Again from year 9 to 13 in the high school system. Then 3 to 4 years in the university system. Still this people, these graduates are not able to write properly, talk or articulate clearly. There's a problem somewhere. We looked at the student pass rates. We found glaring problems in the student pass rate. Ladies and gentlemen, student numeracy, as I said, numeracy skills were quite poor. Writing skills, grammar, ability to undertake critical thinking. Often when you find graduates coming out of university high school system, they tend to take things as gospel truth. But industries, they want graduates to come question the existing body of knowledge, the existing way of doing things, and make suggestions to their boss, to the employer, that this is how we should do things. I think we need to do better this way. We need to challenge, interrogate the existing ways of things. But unfortunately, our graduates have been taking things as is. They'll go, and what I term them as template-driven graduates. They'll go and do things as was done in that business. But employers want them to come and look at it and question and suggest new ways of doing things. You look at all the students in the universities, high schools, they always talk about whether they'll get a job. They always talk about whether they'll get a job. Hardly anyone talks about going and being a businessman, a businesswoman. Where is our entrepreneurs? How can we produce entrepreneurs? We need to change our education system, mindset of our children in such a way that they also think about becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a business person. Otherwise, we will continue to churn out graduates out of our school system and university system who will come back to the government knocking the doors and say, I need job. No government in the world can provide 100% jobs or jobs to 100% of the graduates. Private sector is the place. Government is a service organization. We make policies, make legislations, and the executive arm delivers them. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have failed so far to churn out entrepreneurial minds who would go be an entrepreneur. We also noted that student discipline is an issue. We have been very hard with our teachers. But teachers will tell you that what about students? What do we do to students? They will tell us, in our time, there were corporal punishment and, we were able to control students. But in the absence of corporal punishment, student discipline is quite bad. And, we are restrained. How do we control the children? Somewhere we have gone wrong. Suicide rates amongst our children had become an issue. In fact, last year, the Prime Minister declared it as a national issue. Absenteeism and dropouts had become an issue. Despite government making education free, we still find parents holding on children at home or students dropping out. Students engaging in substance abuse, an issue to some extent, not a major issue, but something that we need to nip it in the bud and finish it before it starts spreading. So these issues have been highlighted by stakeholders a number of times in a number of education and stakeholder forums. With the education forums we held last year, 4, one in Suva, one in West, one in North, one for the Eastern Division. All of those forums, these issues were raised. Ladies and gentlemen, when we looked at the passing rate, we found that subjects like mathematics, biology, chemistry, physics, etc., the pass rates were very low. If you look at the year 12, 2009 to 14, the pass rates were very low. Mathematics, that in 2014, actual pass rate was 20.7%. Biology was 32.3%. Chemistry 32.5%. Physics 43%. Geography 43.7%. History 33.9%. Accounting 43.3%. Economics 37.6%. These were the actual pass rate. But in fact, what used to happen, we were waving around scaled data and said our English pass rate is now 65%, mathematics pass rate is 56%, biology pass rate is 57%, because you were scaling it, fixing the mean. For year 13 at 54% and for 12, 50%. And that's why we used to get a higher pass rates. For year 13, English pass rate was 53.2%, actual pass rate, mathematics was 27%, Biology, 35%. Chemistry, 26.7%. Physics, 38.4%. And we were scaling marks, camouflaging the students and pushing them to university system. And that is why the failure in universities were high. And in the industries, we were pushing them to the industries. And the industry was saying, this graduate is not able to write, this graduate is not able to perform. But the problem was here in our primary and secondary system, because we were scaling the results and passing them out into the school system and a university system. So, ladies and gentlemen, why has this low pass rate been happening? Our curriculum is below the standard of some of the countries whose graduates are very strong or at the equivalent level. As I said earlier on, the people who have done or been through senior Cambridge or university entrance are saying that in those days, education was of a very high standard. We need to ensure that our curriculum is re-looked at and pegged at the same level. At the moment, the recent survey worldwide shows that the South Korea curriculum is the top, number 1. We need to benchmark to number 1. We should not benchmark to number 4, number 5. Our teachers' delivery is a major issue. They are undertaking input-based teaching. Teachers used to come, they will get a timetable, go and teach, and that's it, because they were guaranteed a particular pass rate through the scaling system. So they never bothered about it. Teacher evaluation has been a wasteful exercise, where last year, year before, 2014 in October, we looked at all the APA, the assessment, and everyone is getting 100 out of 100, 40 out of 40. But when you look at the pass rate, it doesn't match. So I thought, what's happening? Withdrawal of exams and thus loss of focus. When exams were removed, students lost focus. They knew that there was nothing to look forward in November, December, which will really independently examine their true stock of knowledge. Absence of external standardized assessment that would motivate students to work hard. What used to happen was every school used to set up their own annual examinations at their own level of difficulty, and the coverage will be what they had covered. A maths teacher in Sangam College, well, Sangam used to have standardized exams for the last couple of years. But let's say Botulevu College will have their own maths exam paper in year 14. The Kandavu High School will have their own maths paper, whatever the coverage they've done, etc., with the market with the same level of difficulty, and show 80%, 90% pass rate, and get a very good upper assessment. So students moved to a higher level without being adequately prepared. So students used to move from one year to the other without being adequately prepared, and without being told exactly what is the true position with respect to mathematics or English or physics or chemistry, accounting, economics, etc. Parents also didn't know what is the true status of performance of the children. And teachers were loaded with extensive admin work and class-based assessments, group works. And whenever you have group works, those who have been through university system will note that whenever you do assignments in groups, there will be free riders, and all of them in the group will get the same mark. So due to the granted scaling system, there was no motivation for teachers to work hard. Right? And students also knew that that they will know that it will be adjusted, and they don't have to worry too much about it. And every year you will find, if you do a correlation between the annual mark and the final mark, you'll find that the final marks are higher than the annual marks for a large number of students. And teachers themselves were surprised. How come the student, with this annual mark, got higher mark in the external mark? Because the marks were adjusted. We look at the actual mean marks. And if you look at the mean marks in, let's say, year 12, you'll find that, let's say, for English, the mean mark was 76, it was scaled down. So English marks were reduced. That's the reality of scaling process. Mathematics mean mark, this actual mean mark in 2014 was 7.5. That was the mean mark, national mean mark. After scaling, the mean mark was 52.6. So amazing how you can see how scaling pushed or changed the mark of students. Biology, the mean mark, national mean mark for year 12 was 16.2. On an average student got 16.2 mark in 2014. The mean mark, after scaling, was 59.3. So you can see the amount of change made through scaling of marks. And the biology mark went down in 2009. The mean mark was 30.7, came down to 16.2. You can see what has been happening to our education system. You look at the year 13. The mean mark for 2014 English was 62.9. It was scaled down to 57.5. Mathematics 15.5. Actual mean mark in year 13 into 2014, it was scaled to 61.4. So you can see the effect of scaling has had on mean mark. That's two. And secondly, you can also see where we were in terms of student performance, actual performance. Mean mark was 62.9 in English in 2014, in the year 13. Mathematics was 15.5. Biology was 14.2. Chemistry was 10.4. Physics was 28.4. You can see the situation where it was, our education system. Now imagine this biology 14.2, we scale them up and send them to do MBBS and comes back and pushes the injection to you. God bless what will happen. Right? These chemistry people, the mean mark was 10.4, we scale them up, send them to do pharmacy course, come back and they mix the medicine for you. God bless you. So ladies and gentlemen, this was the situation, this was the scenario, and we decided that we'll take the bull by the horn. We also noted that uneven resources and quality of infrastructure across Fiji. Students and parents are fighting to send their children to Sangam College, to Natambua College, to Jainarayan College, and Lambasa College and Lambasa Sangam now, no longer Lambasa College. Why aren't all schools like that? There's some problem. We want all schools to be like Sangam College or Natambua College or Jainarayan College. Over the last 3 decades, we have neglected these schools. We have left everything to the poor community members to do the repair and maintenance and construction of additional classroom, etc. Not realizing that these communities already struggled to construct the schools. Poor supervision by school heads. A school is defined by the quality of the leader of the school, the head teacher or principal. Single person can destroy the entire school if you don't have the right head teacher or principal. Poor divisional purview and feedback to headquarters. Ladies and gentlemen, these were the issues we realized. These were the issues we noted. Within 3 months in 2014, from September to December, we examined and said, this is not acceptable. I will take it head on, we'll go for reforms. Despite critics, we decided to undertake major review. Started with curriculum. Before we can do curriculum review, we need to have good people. We don't want a chemistry senior education officer to have a BSc in chemistry and an MBA. That's not an expert in chemistry. MBA is nothing to do with chemistry. We don't want a senior education officer in literature and language to have a Bachelor of Literature and Language and Masters in Development Studies. This was the scenario in our curriculum development unit. Teachers in the school system were site transferred into the curriculum divisional unit to become subject matter specialists. For the last 12 months, we have revamped our curriculum advisory services, which is the CDU unit, we used to call it CDU. We now have people with masters, gold medalists. These are top-notch experts in that area. SEO chemistry has a BSc with very good grades and a master's in chemistry, not a master's in business administration. Similarly, senior education officer literature and language has a bachelor's degree in literature and language and a master's degree in literature and language. So over the last 12 months, we have devoted time to building or strengthening our subject matter specialists in the curriculum section. We want all our teachers to be teacher trained, and that's ongoing. An assessment to include pass rate, supervisor and student assessment as well. We reintroduced exams from year 6 to 13. As you are aware, all the exam papers from year 6 to 13 are prepared by us. Apart from 12, 13, 10, 8 and 6, all the other exam papers are marked by the teachers themselves, but using our own solution guide. And these papers are prepared by the ministry. Now before, year 12 and 13 papers were prepared by a group of school teachers, and therefore room for leakage. It's a small society, people are connected, someone's niece or nephews also sit with the exam. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of changes we did in terms of strengthening the quality and standard of exam paper and minimize any leakage. We also removed administrative work by teachers so that they revert to their core business of lesson preparation, teaching and assessment. We discontinued mark scaling. Marks are no longer scaled. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you something. In October, we established a panel of 3 experts to do an independent or prepare an independent report on whether we should discontinue scaling of marks or continue. The report came, and majority in the team suggested that we should discontinue scaling of marks. A very senior member of the Itoke community, very educated, highly educated, threatened that we will come and burn your houses if you remove scaling of marks. Because these are the kind of people who had condescending view about Itoke children saying that they cannot pass without being scaled. These are the kind of people who are holding back the development of Itoke children. These kind of people. But we went ahead. We were not intimidated. We were not scared of those kind of threats. And we'll show you the results in a second. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now providing more financial resources to small schools in the interior and maritime zone. We discussed with the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister, Mr. Kayyum. And in January last year, we changed the formula to give more money, more grant, more per capita grant to smaller schools in the interior, maritime and rural areas, so that they can also deal with the fixed costs. You still need to have a grass cutter. You still need to have secretaries and admin officers, like the larger schools. So there are certain fixed costs that need to be met, whether you're a large or small school. We changed the formula again last November, the cabinet, so that we'll give more money to smaller schools, taking small chunk out from the larger schools like this one. Thank you, Sangam and Jainaran College and rich schools, and we're placing more emphasis on schools whose infrastructure are depleted. Ladies and gentlemen, this last year, apart from the normal FEG grant which we made flexible to allow schools to use that FEG grant for infrastructure maintenance and upgrading, we assisted 178 schools with separate money for capital projects. Never ever before this level of attention was given to improvement of capital infrastructure of small underperforming schools in the rural and maritime division. There were schools which did not have ablution block. You won't imagine. Just imagine for a second, a school do not have any ablution block, not even for the teachers. These were the situation. There were schools. I'll tell you a school in Esavas, Yangeta Primary School. There are schools which did not have library room. I mean, talking about improving literacy level in schools, talking about improving the language content of students, but there's no library in the school. These things are now been fixed. Those who are avid readers of dailies, you would have noted a headline in one of the dailies of Fiji Times about Mura District Primary School in Wanyimala, where this dormitory, thatched dormitory, those who know what is a thatched dormitory, constructed some 30 years ago to house 20 students from that area. It's leaking now. The walls are rotting away. There's no floor, and students are being bit by centipedes. These critics, where were they for the last 20 years? We went there last year with our team. We allocated money to construct a totally new dormitory. This is the level of attention that Bainimarama government is giving to schools in the rural and maritime division, ladies and gentlemen, so that we equate and remove the factor about unequal infrastructure variable causing the differences in results. We're talking about the running of government schools and intend to develop them into model schools. Ladies and gentlemen, why is Jayanarayan College being a benchmark? Why is Sangam College here being a benchmark? Why not our own government schools become a benchmark? I mean, it's an irony that we need to deal with. Our government schools should be model schools and become a benchmark. Everyone should be benchmarking our government schools. So from Natambua now, no other government school is being benchmarked. And Natambua too was on the declining trend until last year we changed the head in Natambua. And as I said, we need to fix the leader of the school, and we're doing it. It will take time. Ladies and gentlemen, last year we also appointed roving principals to give us independent report on the status of schools, which we then pass it to the head teacher to fix it. Now that the results are out, we will be holding the school heads accountable for the performance in their schools. We are now also working with the divisionals very closely. We want to restructure the divisional office. We will be giving each education officer, this is your list of schools. Any problem in the school, you will be also accountable. Apart from the school head, you will also be accountable. So this education officer will have these 20 or 30 schools assigned. That's your job. Any disciplinary issue, any student discipline issue, substance abuse, high failure rate, you also are accountable. Because we want to see you alerting us in February, March, April, saying there's a problem in the school, teachers are not doing well, principal or head teacher is not working in the corridors, not entering classroom. We want that report. Ladies and gentlemen, we suggested to our teachers that you try to cover the syllabus in term 2, so that term 3 is devoted to remedial work, revision, structured revision. It worked, despite critics saying it wouldn't work. But we said, look, what matters to us is the outcome. What we're after is a benchmark of 100% pass rate. How you deliver? You think that you can deliver better than what we are suggesting? No problem. We also prepared a revision guide for students. What we did, we took last 4 years exam paper, question paper for every subject for year 12 and 13, and made detailed solution and gave it to every child as well as the teachers, so that they can do revision on their own at their own time without having to resort to the teacher. And amazing assistance this was able to provide. And we also note that not every student has an aptitude for higher education studies. Some may not want to study biology or chemistry or economics or accounting. They may have an aptitude for skill training. So the government decided that we will establish technical colleges. We will pool these little vocational outfits all over and establish a campus on its own. We don't want a backyard, little bit of outfit somewhere there, students hanging around doing joinery while they watch the other students neatly dressed entering in year 12 or 13. It won't work. We decided to establish a campus on its own. And you have it here, the first pioneer campus here, Dr. Shaukat Ali Sahib campus, the Technical College of Fiji, one in Lambasa, the Nandona Arya campus, and one in Nambua, the Nambua Sanatan campus. 8 more coming up. Throughout Fiji now from February, we have good coverage where students can go and undertake 1 year of certificate in different trade areas as well as short courses. Ladies and gentlemen, we also are upskilling our teachers, providing them with counseling, RHS and first aid training so that they can then impart that knowledge to our children. Despite some criticism, we undertook an anti-suicide campaign last year. We set aside a 1 whole day dedicated to students discussing about against suicide, why suicide is a no-no. Some people are saying, ministry is getting students to talk about suicide. Our position was this. This is a different era. You don't know whom your child is talking to. The child may be talking to someone through the Facebook, internet, text message, etc. It's better we talk to the child and give the child the right information before someone else's gives them other information and lures the child. Therefore, we got the children to speak out that day why suicide should be condemned entirely. Up till now, people were sympathizing with those who did suicide. We should condemn, the society as a whole should condemn suicide. It's a complete no-no, because it's not only the child who is affected by a loss of life, the entire family, entire classroom, because they've got friends and networks. It worked. It worked. After that, there not a single suicide except for 1, 2, 3 weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, EC recognition and funding. The Bainimarama government has decided that, look, we need to develop children from age of 5. And therefore have decided to fund fully early childhood education. We now want to expand the provision of EC through schools which do not have EC, and we want all schools by end of next year to have EC attached to its infrastructure. We noted that some of the children were not able to make it to school because they were not able to bring a lunchbox. So the Bainimarama government has decided to provide free milk and Weet-Bix to year 1 students. Some critics, always looking for some loophole, said, why not kindergarten? Well, our argument was that, look, kindergarten is for only 4 hours, half day. After half day, they'll go back home and be in the comfort of their home and parents, and they will get something to eat. But these are 6-year-old kids who are there whole day, and we need to look after them. Of course, we also want, like you and I, to whole primary school and all ECs to have it. Well, we'll have it. The way our economy is doing, someday we'll have it. But we all need to work together. Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister noted at the beginning of this year that parents were struggling to buy textbooks. We never had any allocation in the Ministry of Education for textbook, provision of free textbook. Our critics were arguing and making all kinds of comments, but there was no allocation for it. But the Prime Minister saw that parents were having difficulty in buying textbooks. Textbooks were very expensive, 80, 90, 100, 110, etc. Prime Minister decided that we should provide textbooks to schools. There were some issues in delivery because we started late. It was not budgeted for. But we decided that we'll take over that burden. No longer from now, parents have to buy any textbook. We're doing it. We also are distributing IT equipments. We got 5,000 tablets. 5,000 tablets this year from Government of India, which we distributed to maritime and rural schools where they did not have any IT equipment, so that children can do basic training in Word and Excel. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this year we continued the government's bus fare assistance under the overall scheme to assist low-income households, and that was extended to areas where we don't have the road transport service by bus, so RSL is also provided. We also provided vouchers to those who have boat and engine to take the children. We've also provided boat and engine to schools to ensure that children can be transported across the river or from one island to the other, particularly in the maritime zone. We have also provided grants to construct boarding facilities to a number of schools. And as I mentioned, we had contributed to the capital construction for 178 schools throughout Fiji, close to a tune of about $7 million, outside what was allocated. Outside, there was no allocation for that. But don't ask me where we got the money from. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the result we achieved this year. This is the result. And let me tell you, for go to year 12 first. Sonia, go to year 12. Year 12. We look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, column 5. 2014, pass rate, 6, row 6. English, the actual pass rate in 2014 was 76.1, went down to 65.4. We need to examine that. Mathematics, the actual pass rate was 7.5%. It went up to 37.1% within 1 year. Biology, 16.2%, went up to 54.4%. Chemistry, 18% pass rate in 2014, went up to 34% in 2015. Physics, 37.4%, went up to 62.1%. Geography, 2014, 37% pass rate, last year 60.2%. History, 21.6% pass rate, last year 41.3%. 35.7% in accounting, last year 57.5%. Economics, 21.1%, last year 52%. So you can see how these reforms have resulted in a transformation in the performance of students. Everyone from January was focused. The teachers, the students. The teachers were saying, I think we'll get into trouble if we don't lift the game. Let's look at the mean mark. English, there's something that we need to examine where we went wrong. 60.1% English mean mark gone down to 55.2%, 2 mark. Mathematics mean mark was 20.7, gone up to 41.9. Biology 32.3, went up to 51.7. Chemistry 32.5, went up to 40.4. Physics 43, went up to 56.5. Geography 43.7, up to 52.2. History 33.9, 43.4. Accounting 43.3, 53.7. Economics 37.6, 49.9. Let's look at 13. Pass rate. English 63, 64, 1% up. We improved in the year 13. Mathematics 15 to 42, major increase in mathematics pass rate. Biology 14 to 40%. Chemistry 10 to 34%. Physics 28 to 57%. Geography 59 to 80%. History 33 to 54. Accounting 39 to 64. Economics 55 to 64. Mean mark, English 53 to 54, 27 to 43. Biology 35 to 46. Chemistry 27 to 44. Physics 39 to 54. Geography 52 to 62. History 42 to 51. Accounting 46 to 58. Economics 53 to 55. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the outcome of the reforms that we undertook last year. But that's not our benchmark. We want 100% pass rate. Now we believe we can do it. That's our target. And we'll incrementally every year we will do things so that this pass rate, for example, English 54 goes up, mathematics 43 goes up, biology 46 goes up. It won't happen overnight. So ladies and gentlemen, you can see how a collective effort by everyone, parents knew scaling is out, children knew scaling is out, teachers knew scaling is out, everyone was focused from January. It was talk of the place. People were commenting, or critics were commenting, that it won't work. They were waiting for it to fail. Unfortunately, we have disappointed them. New initiatives for 2016 and beyond. Parents have disengaged with their children. We want to re-engage them. We want to launch the pillar 4 of our reforms this year, which is parental engagement. We want parents to take ownership of the child's education. The first teacher of a child is a parent. We want them to take greater ownership. We want them to talk to the child every afternoon, every evening. We read a small storybook to them. Ask them what happened in school. Whom did they talk to? What new things they learned? So that the child knows that my parent, my family members are also concerned about my education. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to look at how we improve student literacy levels and the English knowledge, how we can improve critical thinking. developing entrepreneurial mind, and preparing students for the digital era. We have strategies for all these which we want to roll out this year. The digital literacy program was launched last year by our Prime Minister, and we're looking at rolling it out this year to selected schools. And over the next 5 to 6 years, we're looking at all our schools to be with digital delivery system. We're engaging in professional development programs. There are PD sessions on leadership and administration. We want to strengthen our school heads, and we strongly believe that the school head matters and the single person who can determine the entire course of the school system. So what we are doing is we want to raise the bar of academic excellence. We will continue to search for new and innovative ways to deliver education in Fiji. We will ensure every child has an opportunity to participate in the education system. As our Prime Minister is removing all obstacles to education. We have, over the last decade under the Bainimarama government, gradually and incrementally dismantled the elitist policies of education, where education used to be the domain of the rich and elite. No longer. We're not going to go back to that era. Education is accessible to everyone. Through our toppers and tells, education is now free for children entering into the university system. Gone are those days where pilots can only become the children of the elite. Gone are those days when you look at the children of school teachers and say, definitely this child will go to university. And the children of the cane cutters or the taxi drivers would dream about entering the gates of the university. You all need to work hard and realize the collective dream of this government. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And my team will now take the front table here, and we look forward to critical comments from you and how what you passionately feel about education. Education is everyone's business, not us. We are your servant. That's why we call civil servants. We are here to deliver. Thank you, Naka.